You let me walk out of here with my money, or I will pull this pin and we all die.
Go ahead.
We all love to see superheroes save the day, but come on, admit it, we all love a gangster supervillain suit. Morals aside, these characters are why our beloved heroes are able to look so good in the first place.
Let her go.
Very poor choice of words.
Knowing you, I'm sure you're all about equal praise for equal screen presence, so here are the top 25 most badass supervillain scenes in the movies. Speaking of underdogs, here's the perfect one to kick off my list. Faora isn't a name most people would easily recognize.
You are weak, son of Hel. Unsure of yourself.
Because, let's face it, she was a side character in 2013's Man of Steel. However, that doesn't mean she's any less of a supervillain badass. And as a matter of fact, she actually looked a lot more menacing than General Zod and could have become an icon if she was used in the right way. The fight she gave Kal-El was pretty impressive considering she wasn't even the final boss, and on top of that, the way she handled those army soldiers was a perfect example of outright domination. It really shows how terrifying it would be to fight a Kryptonian if they ever turned over to the dark side. Also, that forward dash combo is still one of the best fight moves in all the superhero movies I have ever seen so far. Yeah, go and argue with the wall.
A good death has its own reward.
Okay, before we go ahead, here's a quick word from today's sponsor, Marvel Strike Force. I know you enjoy watching me cover Marvel content, so I'm sure you're gonna love what they have in store for you here. It's a unique storyline where superheroes and supervillains come together to defend the Earth from a deadly assault. Yeah, that's right, characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Venom, and Deadpool can all be in the same team. It's all up to you to assemble the 5-member squad to complete your mission, and the best part is you can engage in 5v5 battles as well. You can mix and match both superheroes and supervillains in your team, so the possibilities are endless in this game. Also, with the latest update, new users can unlock Nick Fury, Sharon Carter, and Maria Hill for free. All you gotta do is sign up. Sounds great, doesn't it? So, how'd you get started? Go to the Amazon App Store via the link in my description, purchase Marvel Strike Force, and create your profile if you haven't done so already. Make sure you've already got the Amazon App Store downloaded onto your phone because it's a great place to save money on games. Let me sweeten the pot a little bit as well. You also get 20% off on in-app purchases, and with every purchase, you can earn Amazon coins which can be redeemed for rewards across multiple games. So click on that link and do it now!
Come on. Do it! Do it! Come on! Do it now!
You let me walk out of here with my money, or I will pull this pin and we all die.
Go ahead.
It doesn't matter how cool you might try to show yourself, stress is something that everyone's got to deal with. Just look at Sebastian Shaw from 2011's X-Men First Class. Bro had the power to absorb any kind of damage, but still needed to release it at some point.
No, you won't, but I will.
Unfortunately, it was Colonel Henry who ended up on the receiving end this time. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be able to take in overpowered attacks without even flinching, and that's exactly why Kevin Bacon finds himself on my list. I'll admit that his roles in Footloose and Tremors were more appealing, but hey, nobody ever cheers for the villain, do they? The scene in itself is shot very well, especially if you consider how Shaw was able to absorb Henry's grenade with ease. Poor guy was so confused. He probably only understood what was going on when Shaw redirected the explosion towards him.
He's turning himself into some kind of nuclear bomb.
need to be a special villain if you get the crowd going wild even after almost 20 years since your first appearance. William Dafoe has played a whole bunch of creepy characters and has shown that he belongs quite comfortably in them.
Strong enough to have it all.
Too weak to take it!
I mean, the man was freaking Nosferatu, who's basically Dracula without the copyright lawsuit. Of course, I can mention other movies like The Lighthouse and Wild at Heart, but the general public will mostly fondly remember him as the mad scientist Harry Osborn. Whether it's his performance or even the memes, Green Goblin is a name everyone recognizes regardless of their age group. This is why his appearance in No Way Home was so memorable, even though it was a Spider-Man movie.
You can thank me later.
I particularly want to point out the first fight scene between Osborn and Peter Parker, because he totally dominated Spidey without even breaking a sweat. Apart from showcasing his impressive strength, the dude even took away the person who mattered to Spider-Man the most. Alright, let's be realistic here. I'm sure a lot of dudes cried when we lost Aunt May.
Struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose. Gods don't have to choose. We take.
If this world must die, so that mine may live, so be it.
The Fantastic Four franchise has always left a sour taste in our mouths because none of them have been good enough to at least gain some kind of cult following. Yeah, sure, I still find the OG flick to be the best of the lot, but even that one's just a tad higher than being mid. Oh god, now I'm sounding like one of those keyboard warriors on Twitter, right? Anyway, the 2015 reboot might be universally claimed as the worst of them all, but I did like the hallway scene with Dr. Doom. This was straight out of a horror movie because those shots reminded me of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. We all know how badass Dr. Doom is as a villain from the comics and the animated show, so it was quite frustrating to see the live action version not living up to his reputation. Well, at least this scene offers the character some kind of saving grace. This movie might not have delivered on the tremendous hype being delivered by the MCU's big budget dollars, but it did give us one of Elizabeth Olsen's best ever performances on the big screen. Wanda Maximoff is no lightweight, and she's the only shining star from the Multiverse of Madness, even though it's technically supposed to be a Doctor Strange film. Now, I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say that her fight against the Illuminati was the top highlight of the entire film. The woman brutally takes down Black Bolt, the dumbest version of Reed Richards, and a couple of diverse captains without even flexing her powers at maximum output. What really blew me away was how she tricked the supposedly omniscient Professor X and beat him in his own game. Yeah, I know she's got a ton of plot armor, but even then, the Scarlet Witch gives us a stellar scene that kept us interested long enough till the laughable writing finally ruined the movie.
I have children of my own. I understand your pain.
Is their mother still around?
Yes.
Good. There will be someone left to raise them.
Too much iron on your blood. Mr. Lorio, never trust a beautiful woman, especially one who's interested in you.
Now, I think you're well aware of my love for Magneto. Honestly speaking, I prefer Sir Ian McKellen's version, even though Michael Fassbender isn't too far behind. There are many reasons for that too, and one of them is the prison escape scene from 2003's X2. You gotta give it to a man who's capable of finding humour even in the middle of ripping an innocent man to shreds via the iron in his blood. See, this is exactly why I don't like eating spinach. Popeye wouldn't stand a chance against Eric Lenscher. On a serious note though, this was a perfectly balanced scene which showcased Magneto's wit, skill and power level all at the same time. It was one thing to extract 3 iron balls from the simp guard, and a whole other thing to escape a maximum security prison using them.
Charles always wanted to build bridges.
You've been a good and faithful servant, Severus. But only I can live forever.
My lord.
Now, if you were asked about your favourite Harry Potter villain, I'm pretty sure the only name you're going to say is Voldemort. I've got to admit, the man has really made a solid reputation even without basic requirements, like a nose. Or hair even. He's become an eternal icon amongst millennials who've literally grown up with him as their generation's primary antagonist, and rightly so. Of all the crimes he's committed though, I've got to say, the death of Severus Snape hits the hardest. Bro really used the snake to kill Snape. Get it? No? Alright, okay. But on a serious note, I've got to really give it to the Harry Potter franchise for growing along with its key audience. Personally speaking, the reason I loved these movies so much was that I could directly relate to the characters and their personalities because they were maturing the same way I was as a person. I think I got a little bit emotional with that one.
People all over the world that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all.
Out of all the MCU villains we've seen so far, Killmonger is the one with the saddest backstory. Yeah, I know Thanos had to deal with the loss of his planet, but we got to see what actually happened with Killmonger when he was a child, and that's why we can understand his pain. However, the man didn't want our sympathy and chose the Giga Chad lifestyle, only without the viral memes. Michael B. Jordan is a great actor and his swag is undeniable, even if you're a hater.
Is this your king? Huh? Is this your king?
My personal favourite is when he actually claims the throne of Wakanda and becomes the king after burning down all the remaining heart-shaped herbs. The direction here is flawless. The walk up to the throne, the shot, the music, bruh. That's straight up baller, gangster jazz right there. I could totally serve under a king like that. No, wait, that would make me a villain as well, right?
Maybe we can steal the Helio, so you can just lock me up. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage.
When you're an overpowered fighter with the legendary 10 rings at your disposal, there shouldn't be anyone willing to oppose you under their right minds. Unfortunately, for Wenwu, a certain group of gangsters didn't get the memo and ended up turning a hero into a villain. Yeah, it's completely understandable that the man was taking revenge for his wife, but damn bro, you gotta take it easy in public places. On top of that, he had his son watch the whole thing without even explaining himself. Look, I know you gotta be tough from an early age, but this might have been a little bit too extreme. The fight is pretty badass and for obvious reasons, but yeah, Wenwu sure ain't winning any Father of the Year prizes at the TVCU Awards.
A truce, Bruce. But all you have to do is tear it in half, and I'm happy to discuss with you in any way like why you sent a boy wonder.
To do a man's job.
Jared Leto might not have done much as the Joker, but he did manage to redeem his character a bit with this one scene from the Snyder Cut of Justice League. It isn't exactly a revolutionary moment or anything like that, but what stands out here is the menacing confidence with which he mocks Batman.
You don't want to kill me. I'm your best friend. Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around?
I think it was a neat trick to have him mention Robin under the guise of Boy Wonder, just to throw the audience off guard. The line itself carries a lot of weight because it's openly insulting Bruce Wayne for sending little Robin to do a man's job. You know, billionaires aren't very good when it comes down to HR. Just look at Elon Musk.
You need me to help you undo this world you created by letting her die.
But yeah, the scene was definitely a welcome addition to the DC universe because, quite frankly, I was going to start my own Jared Leto hate club. Of course, the Morbius memes came soon after, so we're good for now.
I'm here to report a terrible crime.
And what terrible crime is that?
This one.
Look, I'm definitely not on board with Hollywood's obsession of making puny women dominate strong men via terrible writing and accommodating stuntmen, but I'm going to make an exception here because it's my darling, Margot Robbie. Birds of Prey might have been a disastrous flop, but Harley Quinn is still a popular character, and her performance in this scene is a mix of brutality and humour. I mean, she shoots her opponents with a paintball and confetti gun. I know that kind of sounds fun if you think about it. Who knows, maybe this was what convinced the guys at Warner Brothers to cast her as Barbie. It's actually a lengthy scene because Harley's taking down prison guards first and then the prisoners themselves, but it does look like she's having the time of her life, and that's what matters, doesn't it?
You know the rules, Hotness. You gotta keep off these bars.
Want these bars?
Yeah, those bars. Oh my God.
Lord, play with me.
You put 5 of my guards in the hospital, honey. No one's gonna play with you.
I control the truth! Mysterio is the truth!
Leave it to someone like Jake Gyllenhaal to gaslight someone and play mind games with them. Seriously, bro, with all that Taylor Swift controversy surrounding you, was this really the best career choice to make? Well, he did put in a good performance, so I guess it was worth the drama. When it comes to the sequence itself, we immediately get the idea that Mysterio is a badass villain as he totally outwits and dominates Spider-Man multiple times. Whether it's the MJ illusion, the Spidey clones, or even the Iron Man skeleton, Peter Parker simply couldn't catch a break, and it's all because of the evil yet genius mind of Quentin Beck. Yeah, it might have been an overdose of CGI, but I'm still placing this entry in my top 15 because we get to see a villain showcase his wit rather than his strength.
It's easy to fool people when they're already fooling themselves. But for what it's worth, Peter, I really am sorry.
Let him have his fun.
It was about time we got the Mad Titan to show up on this list, isn't it? The MCU made sure to emphasize Hulk as this massively overpowered beast who's capable of taking down anyone without much effort. I mean, we all remember the Leviathan punch and the whole puny god situation with Loki. So what's the best way to showcase the main villain of the franchise? Have him defeat the Hulk? In just a matter of seconds. The way this sequence was shot totally tricked the audience because they're cheering for Banner's alter ego when he makes the first change. And that quickly changes when Thanos totally humiliates him and even ends Loki for good measure. Not too sure if his "you'll never be a god" line meant anything because bro's neck got snapped harder than Gwen's back. Sorry, Andrew, couldn't help myself with that one.
Pretty, isn't it? Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Too much to one side or the other. Concentrate. There. You've got it.
I know we all love him as an unwilling side hero, but I've got to give Loki his flowers here. For a guy who's always been disparaged for not being horrible enough, this scene kind of makes me question all those critics. Bro straight up cut out a dude's eyes in front of a live audience and grinned as if he was getting his rocks off. They obviously didn't show anything explicitly, but the implication should have been more than enough to catch the censor board's attention. But hey, I'm glad they didn't give it an R rating at the time because 2012's Avengers needed to be shown to as many people as possible. The God of Mischief might not have been able to sell us on his motivations, but at least he put up a good performance in this scene.
The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy in a mad scramble for power, for identity. You were made to be ruled. In the end, you will always kneel.
You're out, Norman. Am I? Out, am I?
And mentioned him before, so I'm pretty sure you would have guessed that he'd show up again somewhere else. Well, here's the OG Spider-Man flick. Ironically, this is also an entrance, but a lot more brutal with the casualties because the early 2000s weren't as soft as today's snowflake generation. I think what really works for the Green Goblin here is the fact that nobody could figure out who he was until the very last moment when it was just too late. The man spared no mercy as he blasted buildings, terrorized locals, and even vaporized a few victims. Oh yeah, and let's not forget how he smacked away Spider-Man after blocking his punch. That really stuck with me, because it was the first time Spidey got dominated with ease.
And they found you amusing for a while. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
It's not possible.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
Big sisters can be a handful at times, right? They like to be overprotective of their little bros, so they try to keep them away from any, distractions. Hela kind of matches that vibe because, let's face it, Thor was starting to get weirdly attracted to that hammer. I mean, yeah, Mjolnir was pretty much his trademark weapon, but it's just like Odin said.
Are you Thor, the god of hammers?
I'll admit that the shock value of this scene could have been way higher if they didn't include it in the trailers, but I mean it is still pretty effective. The evil smirk on Hela's face says it all. You just know that she's going to be an unbeatable queen, albeit an evil one.
With the eternal flame, you are reborn. I've missed you. I've missed you all.
When you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash,
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
You get what you deserve.
It doesn't matter who's playing him, the Joker will always find favor with the TVCU. In this case, we're looking at the iconic finale where Arthur shoots Murray in the freaking head.
Well, let me get this straight. You think that killing those guys is funny?
I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. Comedy is subjective, Murray.
Honestly speaking, we all knew something bad was going to happen, but I don't think a lot of us were expecting Murray to be taken down that easily.
And I'll tell you this, not everyone is awful.
You're awful.
Me? I'm awful? Oh yeah, how am I awful?
Playing my video, inviting me on the show. You just wanted to make fun of me.
After all, this movie heavily borrowed from Robert De Niro's earlier work, and by that I mean stuff like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, not Dirty Grandpa. Only God can explain what that was about. But yeah, shout out to Joaquin Phoenix for building the scene up so well till the final shot. Bro really pushed the limits of American talk shows with this one.
You know what's funny? You know what really makes me laugh? I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a comedy.
The Raimi trilogy gave us two iconic villains and whatever the heck this was supposed to be. Of course, I only deal with legends, so this entry's got the amazing Otto Octavius and his robot arms.
Butterfingers.
The hospital scene gives some trademark horror vibes that one would associate with a director like Sam. To not be in control of your own power is certainly the stuff that nightmares are made of, and this scene epitomizes it in the best possible manner. Doc Ock is my favourite Spidey villain of all time, and I always point out this scene as one of my justifications. While I'm a fan of the medical community and their services, I think this is one doctor that shouldn't be working in a hospital.
We'll do it here. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Nothing will stand in our way. Nothing!
Let's just say I'm Frankenstein's monster.
The dread of an iconic villain lies in his origin story, and it's safe to say that Magneto has a pretty tragic one. He might be a badass when it comes to the combat skills and focused attitude, but at the end of the day, we need to remember where it all comes from. For example, the bar scene in X-Men First Class was a case of direct revenge, so the brutality doesn't seem over the top or anything like that. It's just a simple case of a traumatized man unleashing all the pent-up frustration inside him, and even then, he pulls it off like a smooth criminal. Just look at his face. That's zero remorse, even though he's savagely taking lives. Bro really needs to take some classes on proper bar etiquette.
For you.
The biggest service a superhero can perform is sacrificing his life for the greater good. That's exactly what Vision was hoping to achieve in the finale of Infinity War, and he even managed to convince his girlfriend Wanda to do the dirty work for him. However, Thanos had other plans in mind, and he nullified the whole thing faster than a gym bro flexing his muscles for no good reason. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting this at all, and neither was anyone else in the cinema halls. But yeah, it just goes on to show how much of a badass Thanos really is. Even so, he could have gone a little easier on the couple. They've got to deal with a lot of relationship memes anyway.
You should have gone for the head.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Me.
See, I told you number one was a serious baddie. Darth Vader is a villain whose popularity even surpassed that of Luke Skywalker at times. The man has so many parodies and homages paid to him, he should be charging royalties from them. Now, this scene isn't from the OG Star Wars trilogy, but it is from that timeline, so I won't be as harsh on it as I am on the sequel films. The final attack was epic beyond comprehension, and the best part is that it didn't massively rely on CGI or anything like that either. It was the direction that made the scene stand out, and even today, I consider it the most badass depiction of Darth Vader. Yeah, that includes the George Lucas versions as well. I said what I said.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
Also, don't forget to download Marvel Strike Force via the Amazon App Store link in the description below. Tons of goodies await you. For more videos like this, subscribe and check out this next video that you're definitely going to enjoy.